Jacob Yeager from SUNY Canton. Welcome to our Skype sessions for 2016. You're actually our last Skype session of the year. So nice to end.
Save the best for last, they say.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And all that we went through to try to make this happen, I really appreciate your patience and your persistence in sticking with it.
Thank you for having us.
So I just want to give you a couple of unique things about us, about
Okay.
Southampton. I don't know if you're familiar with Southampton at all.
I've been there a few times. It was my first time this fall, and
Okay.
then I do believe I stopped during the spring, but I've yet to really go out there and really explore it too much. So.
Okay. So, as you know, we're on the South Shore, the east end of Long Island, and we're a very small school. We're a small district, and we're kind of unique. When people think of the Hamptons, they usually think pretty exclusive, rich, wealthy area. We really don't fit that profile. We have, of course, we have some families that are well off, but our demographic, we're very diverse. So we have probably about 40% English language learners at this point. We have close to maybe 35% students free and reduced lunch. Again, our high school is very small. We only have about 150 every year in a graduating class. We don't rank our students and we don't weight our courses. So
Okay.
a couple of years ago, we moved away from that and just really hope that students will take courses for the rigor. The rigor is defined on the titles. And we also have a dual language program. We've been recognized, all the three buildings in our school, the elementary school, the intermediate school, and the high school, as international Spanish academies. And
Excellent.
what that means is some of our students, some of our dual language students have taken Spanish from kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
In elementary school, they have 50% of their day is taught in Spanish.
That's phenomenal.
When they move to the intermediate school and high school, 25% of their day is taught in Spanish. So those students, if we had a student like that apply to your school, know that they're really bilingual. I mean, they earn 3 credits in high school language before they even enter high school. So
Wow.
they start high school at level 4, and then they're going to advance to AP Literature. So they'll take AP Language in junior year, and then they'll take AP Lit in senior year. So our first cohort is juniors this year. So that's pretty unique, and it's exciting for us. But I always like to tell colleges about that because I think it's kind of strange to see a transcript with high school credit-bearing courses awarded in grade 6.
Right?
So I always wonder if colleges are like, oh, that must be a mistake. We shouldn't look at that. But they really are viable courses, and it's an unusual program. We also have a planetarium and, a pretty popular astronomy program. And then we have a fully functioning wet lab where we have an aquarist who has been hired to help with the raising of the sea life. And we've actually started to market some of the fish and other kinds of sea life that we've raised there.
Excellent.
Students are involved in tagging shark and doing some wildlife research. So we've got 3 levels of courses that students can really, again, because we're on the east end of Long Island, it's really a good environment for that. So that's just some things that are really unique about us if you're looking at any of the applications or considering kids from here.
Absolutely.
Besides all the other wonderful things we do.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Well, continue, sorry.
no, so go ahead, and now, that's just so that get an idea of who you're talking with, when you meet with our students. Again, it's hard to get to know all the colleges I'm sure that you visit, all the high schools that you visit, and really the nuances. And, of course, we send a profile, and which I'm sure that you read very, very carefully.
Yes, indeed.
And so it's just, the personal touch, I think, just helps a little bit.
Great. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about SUNY Canton then, I guess.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so we're a technical school located in northern New York, so at the tippy top of New York. So if you go to Canada, you've gone too far. So we're about 15 minutes south of Canada and an hour south of Ottawa. So our biggest and closest cities would be the Canadian cities, which is kind of unique for students that kind of want to explore a little bit and see a different culture, although they're not too much different from us.
Right.
What is nice is we're a small school, so it's only about 3,200 students, 17 to 1 student to faculty ratio, and all of our courses are very hands-on. So it doesn't matter if you're doing something like criminal justice or nursing or business, you're going to have that real-life experience, which a lot of students that have gone to BOCES or students that just understand that lecture halls aren't really for them, really enjoy the education here at Canton. What is also really nice is that gender is split equally, so it's 50-50. It's not overweighted on any end. There's over 75 clubs and organizations, everything from the Caribbean Club to the Black Student Union, dance organizations, religious groups. So many students have these different areas and these different ways to be part of the campus community. What is also really nice is we're very diverse. So a lot of students will come and not realize that their roommate might not speak English as their first language. We have a lot of students from Puerto Rico, a lot of students from Dominican Republic, and then New York City metropolitan area. So a lot of these students come in where English is their second language. And we provide a lot of jobs here in the admissions office as well as the library and the tutoring services to help these students really work on their English if that's something they really want to do, and kind of get them to bring their skill level that much, that much higher, as well as we offer a lot more documents now in Spanish and in English and a couple different languages just to help these students really understand what they're getting into, and so they can understand their courses and what they have to do when they're going through enrollment. Especially for parents that they may call, and unfortunately for us, not everybody speaks Spanish on the team, so it's really nice to have students on our team who can speak Spanish and talk to these parents and really help with the admission process, or while the students at school if they have any issues. So we kind of pride ourselves in being this kind of melting pot of the North Country, where some other schools might not be that diverse or that integrated. What is also nice about our area is that we have 3 other colleges. So being a part of SUNY Canton, not only do you get the 64 other SUNY schools and community schools from Nassau to Farmingdale to Old Westbury, you get the 3 other universities in the area, St. Lawrence, SUNY Potsdam, and Clarkston, and you can take one class per semester at any of these 3 universities. So if you want to take robotics at Clarkston, or dancing 101 at Potsdam, or a liberal arts study at St. Lawrence, you really get this opportunity to not only go to a public school, but also a private school. And so you get kind of 4 colleges for the price of 1, in addition of the 64 other SUNY and community colleges. So you really have this huge network of education system that really can benefit a student if they use it, which is kind of nice. What also goes hand in hand with that is our study abroad program. Canton has about roughly 5. They do a couple Africa trips, a couple trips to China, but if you're part of the SUNY, it's called the SUNY Passport. So if SUNY Brockport or SUNY Oneonta or somebody else is going to a country that the student really wants to go to, they can equally apply because they're a SUNY student already. So it just kind of goes back to that huge SUNY network and using that to a student's benefit, which is really nice.
That's great.
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about our programs. What is kind of nice is Canton has a 1-year, a 2-year, and a 4-year program. So we have certificates ranging from HVAC to electrical, very trades kind of students that come out of BOCES are easy. They're easy enough to get into, and it's directly kind of a continuation of their BOCES program, which is beneficial for a lot of students who still want a degree, but they might not want the 2-year or the 4-year. We're a ladder-based curriculum, so students can start off in a certificate program, go on to the associates, and then into a bachelor. So once a student is here, they might not have been able to get into an associate's degree, but once they're a student with us and they kind of prove themselves, they can go on and continue education as long as their grades are good and they kind of coordinate their programs together. So a student who might start in a certificate program for power sports might go on into automotive, and then they might go into management. So they get kind of 3 degrees all in line with each other, and really gives them this well-rounded education as well as this very hands-on education. Yeah, so we have 3 schools: the Canino School of Engineering, everything from automotive, graphic and multimedia design. We have a 3D printer, which is pretty cool. Electrical, mechanical, civil engineering, information tech. So if you want the IT side of computers, not quite the coding and making websites, but doing, setting up the Skype in this classroom, or doing all the internet, as well as alternative and renewable energy systems. So solar panel installation, wind, kind of developing new ways to conserve and gather energy, which is kind of the new up and up. A lot of our military students have been taking that. which is kind of interesting. The other school is business, which applies psychology, finance, management, healthcare management, legal studies, and early childhood. Some of these courses, like finance and healthcare management, are 100% online. So students can come for the first 2 years, do most of their basic coursework here on campus, and then finish up the last 2 years, or they can do the whole 4 years online. It's either hybrid, or you can do it solely online, which is kind of nice for some students that don't want to make the 8-hour distance or 10 hours from Long Island. So. And then lastly, we have the Science, Health, and Criminal Justice, which is home to a lot of our selective majors, everything from nursing to vet tech, PTA, and then criminal investigation, criminal justice, as well as homeland security, dental hygiene, and funeral services, which is actually a big draw from students on Long Island.
Strange, right?
Yeah.
People are always dying, so.
Exactly. Our big selective programs, as I previously mentioned, is vet tech, nursing, dental hygiene, and PTA. All 4 of these programs are very hands-on, where the student really has clinical-based. They really get their hands dirty, so to speak. They're going to be working with cats and dogs, horses and cows. They're going to be actually working with families, working in hospitals, working with elderly, or with sports teams for PTA. So what's nice about Canton, here you don't necessarily just learn how to do something, you'll know how to do it. So you can walk out onto the job site and be well prepared versus you just read it in a book one time.
Right. Now, how selective are those programs compared to your general admissions requirements?
So the general admission requirement, our average student for these selective programs, their GPA is 85 and above. Okay. Usually it's much higher, depends what kind of class we have coming in. Nursing, for example, has about 80 seats, and we get 600 applicants. Wow. So it is quite rigorous, and there's students here on campus that are taking pre-nursing, so we hold some seats for them as well every year. There's also, for vet tech, it's about the same. It's 80 seats, and we get roughly just as many as applicants. There's not very many schools that offer nursing and vet tech in the SUNY system. So we always suggest, come see us, come see the other schools, and really find what fits you, and then apply. As it's really, each school has a different program, and they're all basically the same requirements. There's PTA, there is about 25 seats, but the applicant pool is a little bit lower, but it's still just as rigorous. Most of these courses, you need to take a chemistry regents, get at least 65, if not higher. Biology regents, you want at least a 65, but you definitely want it to be higher. And then dental hygiene is a funny one because you have to have anatomy and physiology. So you'll need to take it out of community college or in high school through another program. That's the one that has a requirement that's kind of a hurdle for some students because many don't have that at their high school. Yeah, so for most of these programs, we suggest 85 and above. Take your SATs. We don't necessarily have a magic number, but the higher the better. And then do very well on your math, chemistry, and biology regents. So for basic requirements for most of our other programs, our average student is anywhere from an 82 to 85. We look at everything from a 75 and above. For the associate's degrees or the certificates, you do not need a SAT or ACT, although we do recommend it. For the 4-year programs, the bachelor programs, we do require a SAT or a ACT, and most of them there is no magic number, but we just suggest you take it because it helps with your English and your math placement. And we're adjusting for the new SAT, so we will be taking those scores as well.
Life like on Canton?
Well, Canton's a little bit, we're in the town of Canton, which is also home to St. Lawrence University. So there's a lot of kind of college activities going on throughout the town, regardless if it's here at Canton or at St. Lawrence. What I found is 25% are commuters or non-traditional students. We have a military base about an hour away. So we get a lot of military students, and then we got a lot of students who want to come back to school, as well as people that live within an hour radius. But besides that, campus life itself, you see a lot of students involved in fraternities and sororities, organizations and clubs, working in the library. So it's very kind of tight-knit, which is really nice. And you see the students utilizing every piece of the property. There's about 500 acres, so you see students all the way up on the athletic fields, walking around on the trails down by the river, and you see a lot of students together, which is usually nice to see. It's not really spread out, and everybody's just kind of getting along, because some students are from New York City or Long Island, where it is quite a distance. So some students don't really have too much of off-campus life, and there's plenty to do on campus to keep students, engaged and happy, I guess. Yeah, so my favorite saying is, bored people are bored anywhere. It doesn't matter if you live in New York, doesn't matter if you live in Long Island, or you're up here in the woods. Some of the most successful students are the ones that really enjoy it up here. Might have never been in a canoe, and they go and enjoy a canoe ride down the river out front of the dorms, or they take a walk in the woods, and they really get to find who they are, and kind of do some things they wouldn't think they would like. So that's when I find students really enjoy the campus life, is when they join different clubs, Habitat for Humanity or something, as I said, takes them out of their comfort zone. It's, for many students, it's their time to choose where they want to take, further their education, what they want to do, and how they want to do it. So if the student wants to sit in the room and, play video games, that's their choice at that point. I don't suggest it. I suggest you get out there, but, that's the fun part about college, I suppose.
So you mentioned sports. What's your sports program like? How large? You're D3?
We are D3. So we just got a new state-of-the-art facility about probably 5 years ago. It's complete with an ice rink, a couple basketball courts, a swimming pool, and a beautiful fitness center. We have everything from volleyball to golf. Ice hockey is a big one. Basketball is a big sport as well. In total, there's 14 varsity sports. Everything under the sun besides track and field and football.
Okay.
And of course, not field hockey, because nobody above Albany plays field hockey, I feel like.
And you even have baseball up there?
We do have baseball.
In
And
Canada, it's a little cold, isn't it?
yeah, we do have baseball. And what's nice about our program, they always go somewhere warm for spring training, so they went to Puerto Rico this year.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
So that is quite nice. So if you want to get some fun in the sun, they went to Miami the year before that. So they really take care of the teams up here, and they really enjoy themselves. What is nice is if you are part of a team, you can dorm together. They like to keep the team together, so much of the soccer team stays together, or the whole baseball team stays together. And as they get older and progress, a lot of students will get a house together, or they'll live in the same apartment complex to kind of keep that community and keep that team dynamic together.
What would you say is the best kept secret about SUNY Canton?
Best kept secret. Good one. I think we're a hidden little gem up here. The best kept secret would be just our diversity in majors. You can really be whatever you want to be, whether it be a police officer, to a business major, to a nurse, to somebody who just studies liberal arts. We can really provide an experience and an education that when you leave here, you'll not only have the experience and the knowledge, but I think you'll have the confidence to go out to the job market and really hit the ground running.
Right. It sounds like you did say that it's a very practical, hands-on experience, so people are graduating with skills, not just intellectual skills, but practical skills.
Yep, and what's nice, we don't have, our biggest lecture hall is probably 25, maybe 30 people, and that's basically used for English and math, because everybody's got to take those two. And the more you get into a major as a student, the smaller your class size gets. So these students are really building a relationship with their teachers and their professors, and really getting that individualized attention to really develop and hone their skills, versus sitting in the back of a lecture hall or kind of getting lost in the mix. A lot of our majors also include an internship. So a lot of these students leave and they have actual experience, which is really nice, especially in today's day and age where lots of employers require you to have some kind of experience.
Right. housing?
4 years.
Okay.
As long as you do not get kicked out, you should be okay.
Yeah, right. And you pay your bill.
Yes, absolutely. Those are the big two.
Are freshmen allowed to have cars on campus? That's always
They
a
are.
question. They are?
They are.
Okay.
Correct. Many students, A, we have a lot of commuters, and B, the students that do come from quite a distance. So we like to make it, accommodative as much as we can.
What options do you have for travel? Like, is there an Amtrak or any other, for people to get from Long Island home?
It really depends. I like to say planes, trains, and automobiles if you have that way, that means to go that way.
Right.
You can fly to Albany, take a train from Albany out to the island, and then take, a car obviously home from the train station. You could easily drive, or you can take the Adirondack Trailways bus that comes all the way up to Canton, right to the campus. Right to the campus, the best bet would be by public transportation, would be by the bus. Many students do drive, or once you get to school, you find out who has a car and who's going back. So then a lot of students will carpool. Flying is an option if it is an option to the family. And then Amtrak goes to Albany, and it does go north, but you would have to take a bus or, mostly a bus or some other public transportation to get to campus itself.
Okay. So you did mention that 25% are commuters and you have military personnel there. What's life like at SUNY Canton on the weekends for students?
On the weekends, it really depends who you ask, I guess. If you're one of these non-traditionals or you're a commuter student, of course, some students are up here are hanging out, but there's always something going on. I've seen everything from Chinese acrobats to movie nights to sporting events. They always have something going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the most part. So they said as long as you stay proactive as a student and really involved in your campus life, you should always find something to do, even if it's, as I said, a little bit out of your taste or a little bit outside your realm. There's a lot of interesting programs and opportunities every weekend that I think students will really enjoy and can be a part of. And other than that, there's, the outdoor club during the winter. They go skiing. In the warmer months, they're doing canoe trips or hiking, and then on campus, as I said, there's a lot of sporting events, especially when it's warmer. So there's always a game to catch or always something to see.
So I should know this. And what's the winter? What are the winters like there? I think that might be a concern for some thinking about going that close to Canada.
So it's not as bad as many think. I like to say it's very similar, maybe not out to the Hamptons, but it's very similar. Long Island, during the good days, but it does get cold. It will get, negative 10 plus, which is, some people have never even been below zero.
Right.
So January and February are colder months, and we had a pretty mild winter this year. But other than that, it's usually, it'll be around zero for a couple weeks there, and then it's usually not too long of a winter. The snow will stay. You'll probably have at least a foot from December till early March, if not more. And then after that, we get a pretty good spring, and then the summertime's absolutely beautiful. So,
are there opportunities for students to stay in the summer? I mean, do you have students who there and they want to stay and?
Yep. For the most part, students have to have some kind of employment in order for them to stay. Many students will take a summer session and then also work. We have quite a few students right now working here in admissions, staying in the dorms so they don't have to look for an apartment or something like that. And then they're also taking a couple online courses. We offer summer session and winter session, so some students will do the same time in the winter. They'll try to stay as long as they can. Usually we send everybody home for Christmas.
Okay.
But yeah, so there is an opportunity to do that. A lot of students do choose to do the winter or the summer terms. You can get ahead, and we offer 400 classes online. So there's always something that you could use, or a gen ed or a liberal arts elective, something that you can get ahead during those months.
Right.
So,
That's great.
yeah. So I think one of the other things I forgot to mention, we got voted #1 in the SUNY system for accommodative services. So that's everything from your writing tutor to your math tutor. If you need a tutor for Criminal Justice 102 or game design or graphic design, no matter what the class is or what the subject is, we have somebody here to help you. As well as if you do happen to have a learning disability or anything like that, admissions is a blind process. We will not know that. But if you do need help, need extra time on your tests, we have a full department that really supports any student and any of their needs. So regardless of what you need, even if it's just a hug one day because you're having a bad day, we got your back and we have you covered here. So a lot of students really appreciate that and use a lot of services. And it's nice to have kind of that little bit of a security blanket.
That is great, especially for students with learning disabilities. Oftentimes that's an extra fee that colleges have. It's a component of a program that there's additional fees for those services.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of pride ourselves in that, and a lot of students have seen a lot of success through those programs.
Right, now are you the person who would read applications from our area?
I am the Long Island representative.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
You'll see me in the fall. You'll see me. I'll be down there next week. So just doing a couple transfer fairs.
Okay.
So I'm usually down there all fall. So if you ever need anything, if you want to have a coffee with your parents or meet somewhere, we can definitely meet. Or if the parents want to meet up, I'm usually available for independent appointments or at, of course, the mini fairs or the college and career nights.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
Yeah, and what is nice is that since I am the one reading the applications, it's nice to put the face to the name. So if you do apply, it's definitely great to reach out to me and just say, hey, I sent in my application, we met at Southampton, or I saw your video and I thought you did a great job. So anything like that definitely helps. And next time I go down, it's always good to see the students and see how they're doing.
Right. Well, I think that's all of our questions.
All right. Well, basically, I think if you've ever looked at a SUNY school before, they're all the same cost except for room and board. It will probably go up a little bit this year once the budget gets hammered down from New York State, but it's about $6,500 for tuition, about $1,500 for academic fees, $1,200 for your books, your supply, your travel, and then $11,800 for your room and board, give or take. Some people have a cheaper meal plan or a more expensive meal plan, so you're getting a good education for the whole year for roughly $20,000 to $22,000. 85% of our students get some kind of financial aid, and then we have scholarships that are merit-based. As long as you have an 85 GPA and above, you'll get an invite to fill out that application. Being D3, athletes will not get scholarships.
Right.
But I mean, if you're strong academically, that is usually a great choice. And we always say apply to your Lions Club, apply to your Kiwanis Club, anything local. There's thousands of scholarships out there, so if you apply to 100, you might get 10, and that's always a great thing. The FAFSA financial aid is changing next year. You'll be able to apply by October. So we suggest that. The sooner you apply, the sooner you get to know. We're usually pretty quick with our application turnaround. And I'm reading them, so if you do have a question or you're waiting on your application, you can always reach out to me, and I'll see what I can do. And then other than that, I think that's all I really have for you guys as well.
Now, when you say 85 grade point average or 82, do you use the average that's on the transcript, or do you strip it out and do core courses?
It depends on the school. For the most part, I'll use the GPA provided by the school itself. If it's a portfolio school where they might not do regencies or they might not calculate a GPA, I'll look at the core classes, do an average based on our system over here, and then calculate it that way. But for the most part, if Southampton gives a student an 85, I'll take your word for it. And judge them based on that 85. I also will look at the core classes just to make sure that you didn't get 4 100s in PE, but you failed all your math. So we definitely look at that. So as big as is your GPA, of course your region scores play a huge part. And then we don't require an essay or anything like that. But if you do submit it, it allows us to get to know you as a student, gets to know you, your writing style, and really helps us kind of make a overall picture.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jacob.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So you have yourself a great day, and hopefully we'll be in touch next year.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.